So the question is, why aren't more F&I managers doing the things that we're talking about now? Why are they not taking more TOs? Why are they not getting involved early? Why are they not being more present? When I got in, before I got into F&I, our guys were running 500-600 a click.
Stop. I'm going to tell you right now, I love this because I can tell that you're very sincere and honest because of what you just said. Because there's some people that want to just make up random stuff. Just the first couple syllables out of your mouth, I know you're honest. Get, keep going. I love this.
No, it was.
Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is L.A. Williams, Vice President with Dealer Synergy, the blind master, and the co-creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And y'all know who I got with me, the one and only Mr. Black Belt, Sean V. Bradley. I call him Black Belt Bradley. What's happening, Mr. Sean?
Man, listen, stop playing with me, brother. Look, listen, when are you going to get your black belt, LA? You know what I mean? Like, again, you the blind master, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to get your Shaolin and your Wu-Tang clan on, man.
I'm telling you, I got to get a stripe. That's what I got to get.
Well, you need to be in it to win it. But everybody, this is SVB, and the place to be is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And man, I got to just tell you, LA, the thing that I'm seeing a lot is the credit situation right now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of dealers that are struggling. And so here's what I'm finding across the United States. A lot of dealers are like really like struggling. And they're like, what's going on? Why? And I try to tell them there's a couple things going on. First and foremost, for years, they did not have to sell. For years, if there was inventory, they could sell vehicles at list or over list. And I say as a trainer, sometimes it's hard to teach people how to fish when the fish are jumping in the boat and they're fat, right?
Exactly.
The other challenge that dealers are having, and I'm seeing, is that they've been putting people to sleep for years. They've been, charging people list, over list, addendums, this, that, the other thing. You have all these high interest rates. You have all this stuff going on. What did you think was going to happen when leases start to come to maturity, or when cars break down, or the finance terms are up? When people start coming back, they're finding a reality where they're deep, out of equity on these vehicles, and dealers that are not prepared on how to deal with these situations are really struggling. So I want to definitely talk about how credit is impacting the automotive industry currently right now at the end of 2025 going to 2026. I want to see how credit is going to affect in 2026. And then here's this. We have a special guest, which we're going to announce when we come back from break. I want to get his opinion on all the things that are artificial intelligence, AI related to F&I.
Yeah.
Especially with the credit reports and being able to streamline the process through digital retailing, et cetera, et cetera. So LA, what do you see is trending right now in the industry besides those things?
Well, the other thing that a lot of folks don't know is the Federal Reserve Bank just announced that on December 1st, they are ending quantitative tightening, right? So we got to be like, okay, so what does that even mean, right? That means that, all the money printing and all of that different kind of stuff that was happening, right? They put an end to that. Well, now they're putting an end to that, right? So now it could be a situation where, money is going to be, there's definitely going to be a shift happening, right? So we got to be paying attention because, of course, as a consumer, right, they're not going to feel it initially, right? But I promise you're going to feel exactly, because the banks are going to start paying attention to it. So going into 2026, that's definitely something that we're going to be making sure that we got to start taking a look at. So there's a lot to talk about, right? And so we're going to have those conversations as soon as we come back. Should I tell them? Because I'm telling you, the guy who we got coming up, who's a guest, is absolutely phenomenal.
You can tease him a little bit before.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, y'all going to be super excited to hear from this guy. I'm telling you, as soon as we come back from break, we are going to be having a conversation with my main man, Mr. Adam Marburger. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be phenomenal. We'll be right back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
If you're looking for the absolute best automotive sales training training from the #1 millionaire car salesman in the world, Cody Carter, who sold 1,408 units in 2023 and made $1.2 million in personal income, make sure you sign up for Cody's 24/7 video on-demand training, tracking, and testing certification program, Sell Like Cody. That's right, Sell Like Cody is on Bradley On Demand. Cody covers absolutely everything in his successful selling process. If you want to learn how to sell more cars, more often, and more profitably, enroll now at bradleyondemand.com or contact Dealer Synergy today.
Thank you for calling Doing It Wrong Motors. How can I help you?
I was looking at the tan 2023 GMC Terrain. You guys still have that?
Oh, sorry. That vehicle's been sold.
Could this be happening at your dealership? Get the Dealer Synergy team to handle calls the right way. We'll gather all the information, drop it in the CRM, set a solid appointment with notes, so all you have to do is sell. Do yourself a favor and go to dealersynergy.com for a free demo.
And no more of this burning through phone-ups nonsense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and as promised, along with Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP, right? We got another, listen, I'm telling you, I'm such the little one in this case. I'm such a white belt, not a single stripe. But these folks, man, they be doing a doggone thing. We got Sean V. and my main man, Mr. Adam Marburger. What's going on, Adam? Welcome to the podcast.
Happy Monday. I'm happy to be here hanging out with you guys.
Well, happy Tuesday to the listeners, but yeah.
Happy Tuesday. Sorry.
It's okay. So, Adam, really quick, you have a very interesting background. Let's start with the automotive background. How long have you been in automotive, and where are you at right now in your career?
Yeah, so I started right out of high school. I was 18 years old, in college, kind of confused, and a friend of mine talked me into selling cars. As a matter of fact, I told him absolutely no way. I elected to be a porter first. I went in for a sales job, and I asked the GM, I was like, can I start back there? I feel like I deserve to be in the back, right? And so I was a porter for 90 to 120 days and went up front, sold for 3 years. I was in love with F&I. I loved how these guys were in suits every day. They weren't moving cars on the lot. You know, they weren't getting dirty. Like, the customers were coming to them. They weren't going out finding customers. So I just gravitated to F&I, and I got a shot to do F&I when I was 22. And I did that all the way till 2017 when I retired from retail. And then I went out and did my own thing. So my whole life's been committed to the career.
So when you were on the floor, how long were you on the floor selling cars?
3 years.
3 years. And what was your top month?
My top month was 22 and a half.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
then how long before you got into F&I?
So, I mean, I sold, oh my God, here's the thing that happened actually. There was a contest. One of my F&I people back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, things were a little different in the car business. So we had this one F&I guy that was even keel professional, and we had this other F&I guy that was a loose cannon. Like, he was just nuts. I brought a deal to him on a Saturday, and the insurance card for my customer was expired. I already knew it was expired. I was already in the process of getting a new insurance card, but the sales manager wanted the deal to get an F&I. Let's get it going, right? Well, he took my deal and he threw it on the showroom floor. And then I'm sitting in the GM's office. Back then, you guys might remember the old those old Nextel phones, those big phones, little beepers on them. He came in and threw his phone at the GM, and he quit on the spot. And so this is what happened. I had agreed if I led the board for 6 months straight, they were going to give me the F&I spot. Well, I tied at 22 and a half with another guy, so I didn't win. So they didn't put me in F&I yet. On that Saturday, I got the job because there was no F&I guy. So the other F&I guy was on vacation. The guy that was nuts threw the deal on the showroom floor and quit. And so I figured it out. So I took deals that Saturday, and my paperwork was not clean. I can tell you that.
So I don't know if you know, my family's entrenched in automotive. Tiana is major national speaker trainer. My younger daughter is actually an F&I manager at a dealer group in South Jersey, Kalina. You know, she's 24 years old. And she is, you know, full-blown F&I manager for a Chevy, Kia, Subaru, and Toyota dealership down in South Jersey. I think that F&I is an incredibly, obviously, not only important position, but it's a very lucrative position. But I want to get some benchmark data from you because a lot of people don't know this. Now, remember, I've been in it since the late 90s as well. Now, I remember when I first started selling cars, what the average back end gross profits were. I would like you to share what you think they were, what your experience was back then in the late 90s, early 2000s to what they're on now today. Let's start there. Can you go back? Yeah. Yes.
This is a great conversation piece. I love this.
Oh,
so
let's go.
When I got in, before I got into F&I, our guys were running 500-600 a click.
Stop. I'm going to tell you right now, I love this because I could tell that you're very sincere and honest because of what you just said. Because there's some people that want to just make up random stuff. Just the first couple syllables out of your mouth, I know you're honest. Keep going. I love this.
No, it was we were underperforming 500-600 a click.
Yes. Yeah.
So right when I got into F&I, if you were running 1,000 a car, so in 2002, if you were 1,000 a car, you're a thoroughbred. Okay.
100%.
If you're 1,200-1,300 a car, you're number one in the city. You can get any seat you want. Fast forward into the mid 2000s, 05, 06, we're tickling that 13, 14. We get into 08, 09, 10. 15's the benchmark at that point. I mean, if you're not running 1,500 a car, you're kind of unemployed at that point. We started getting to that $2,000 number and like 2015-ish, 14, 15, 16. Over the last handful of years, I mean, we're tickling that $3,000 number. I mean, obviously, domestics, imports, geographical location, markets, those things do matter. I mean, Detroit, Michigan's not an easy market, but 2,500 is kind of that number now that I think people are happy with, that 2,500. But it's come a long way from 5.
Yeah, 100%. When I was working at Weissler, Lincoln Mercury Mazda, it was 720, and they were above average. You know what I mean? At 720, but everything you said is spot on. At G, you're doing good, 1,200, and then it's just crazy how nowadays it's in the mid 2s. And sometimes even 3s. And we're talking about conventional stuff, like you said. And then it gets even crazier when you get into Highline and exotic. And a lot of people, and this is going to be an interesting show because a lot of people that have been in the business their whole entire lives don't know that a lot of Highline stores, they do their own F&I. When I used to work at Ray Catena, Porsche, Jaguar, Aston Martin in New Brunswick, which was one of the number one Highline dealerships in the country, I was shocked, as a young kid, like working at a Porsche, Jaguar, Aston Martin dealership. They had an F&I director, but that was only if something bad happened. All the salespeople were paid on the front and back, and we were responsible for financing on like the Mercedes, the Aston Martins, and the Porsches. Can you explain that from your experience? Why is it that Highline, not all Highline, but some Highline stores and exotic stores task the salespeople to do F&I, and how come regular conventional stores don't do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the Highline is just a different segment. We've got affluent folks that can pretty much fund these deals, write checks for these products. So I think they don't put as much pressure on an F&I department, and they allow the autonomy of salespeople. I do have a few stores that it actually works better. We tell our customer, hey, great news. I'm handling this entire transaction. You're not meeting a mystery man. You're not going to see Oz to go try to have somebody sell you a bunch of stuff you don't need. We don't do that here. As a matter of fact, I handle everything, and I only offer products that have value and our customers actually like to buy. So it's just a little bit easier transition. And we're talking that folks that have all the money in the world to buy these products, and they actually buy them. If you try not to sell them, they actually buy them.
Yes.
Right. So,
and it's really interesting that you bring that up because some of the top salespeople in the world, like my guy, Cody Carter, this gentleman is the current reigning GOAT. He sold 205 units on the showroom floor at Tustin Toyota in May 2025. This is verified. He sold 1,432 units last year and made 1.1 million on the showroom floor. This year, we still have 5 weeks left of 2025, and he's about 1,500 units. You understand me? So he's about to break Ali Reda's Guinness Book of World Records from 2017. So here's the thing where he doesn't use F&I, and he does it for 2 reasons. One, to control the experience. Because if you are a high-powered multi-millionaire car salesman on the floor, which is very rare, but if you ever make it ascend to that level, you want to control all variables. Like, he doesn't allow service to deal with stuff. He doesn't, like, he is the point. He's not going to go fix the cars, but he's like air traffic control, and he liaisons everything. So he does it for experience control with the prospect, so nothing could, potentially mess up the situation. And he does it to expedite, because he's got a website. It's crazy, Adam. I've never seen this in my career. He's got a website. It changed the URL. It was Retrack Autos, which is the last name backward. I think it's shop.tustintoyota.com. I think that's it. He spent $15,000 creating this website, right? Himself, his own personal website. But it is under the Toyota Ad Covenant, because you're not allowed to advertise vehicles to the public that are under either MSRP or invoice or whatever it is. But the loophole is, unless it's a membership site. So what he does is, I've never seen this before, ever. He makes every single person that goes to his shop.tustintoyota.com or whatever the URL is, he makes them fill out their contact information, name, phone number, email address, before he shows any of the special pricing. So that is brilliant. It's brilliant. He generates 300 plus leads a month to his own personal website. And what happens is, he does digital retailing. So he packages all these deals up from his website, where 90% of his deals are done before they even get to the dealership. And so either they're in and out of the dealership in less than 30 minutes, or most of them, he uses like transport services and Uber Business, and he delivers the vehicles. So he does the F&I to control the experience and to streamline the process. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's fascinating, number one. Number two, it's brilliant. Controlling the narrative of the transaction, especially, he didn't get there by accident, and it didn't happen overnight. Why screw it up? I don't know, Sean, we've been doing this for a while. I'm sure, have you met kind of a sour F&I person? You ever met an F&I person who only cares about themselves, that takes way too long, complains about a cash deal? Maybe it's right before close and there's a lease with no money factor built into it. Yeah, F&I people can be rude sometimes. So I can get in that individual scenario to control the transaction, control the experience. He's built an empire, it sounds like. I wouldn't screw that up.
Not just that too, but he also is in control of the gross, because, and I'm not trying to eliminate F&I people, but for the record, but I'm just trying to say is that's the next question I want to go into is, we keep doing what we're doing, and we're going to keep getting what we're getting. So Adam, this is a very provocative question, but with your expertise, I think you're really qualified to answer it. So absorb the question I'm about to give you, let it process. So I believe that we have infrastructure problems in the automotive industry. The internet and the phones are the new showroom. We've known that for the last 15 years, but we still staff the dealership with 10 salespeople, 2 sales managers, GM, GSM, and F&I to handle the business incorrectly. I also think that, I hear different models where F&I should be a sales manager that's going to be, they're going to do that type of work. In your professional opinion, if you were going to own a dealership, right? And you were going to make the most modern dealership, how do you see, because obviously F&I as a profit center and as a resource to the client it's immeasurable. It's extremely needed. How should you set it up? If we were going to rethink this from scratch, what is the best way to be able to have F&I strategy, F&I profit, F&I presence in a dealership? Do we use the same conventional F&I managers like we've always done? Or do we shuffle the HR deck and we have a manager that does multiple things? In this day and age with technology and strategy, what's the right way to do F&I going forward?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example here. If you're in a small rural town where you have a hard time pulling talent, I do not dislike the idea of having all salespeople trained to do the deal cradle to grave and understand the products in and out. In a high metro market where profit margins are small because of margin compression, and we got to get that back in money, you need to have specialists. But let me kind of go a couple different directions here. See, back when I started, there was an ivory tower where F&I people sat with their really nice watches and their shoes, and you don't mess with F&I people because they're like God, right? that crap's over with. And as a matter of fact, I can't stand working with F&I people that are above getting out of their office, getting on the show floor, sitting in the tower with sales managers. Our job is to service and sell vehicles. Our job is to help people with their transportation needs. I don't care if you're a porter getting a vehicle ready for delivery or you're a dealer principal that spent all the money on advertising and assembled the dream team. We all have the same job, right? I like the idea of humbling our managers, and we act as one unit. I think that desk and F&I should be working all deals together. We should be communicating at a high level. I think that if we're not working on CIT, and if you're a good F&I person, you should have your CIT clean first thing in the morning. CIT shouldn't even be a conversation. But if you're not in your office working on your CIT schedule, delivering a vehicle, handling a situation, you need to be out of your office on the show floor helping transact. So I think it's got to be a perfect unity. And here's the magic, Sean. The magic comes with the training. F&I managers and F&I departments, and if I had to put a statistic, it's got to be 70, 80. I don't have the exact data, but it's got to be high that we're not training and we're not empowering our salespeople. We're not giving them enough information. We're not educating salespeople on what our job's to do. Salespeople think F&I people are there to make as much money on their customer as possible. Well, when the reality, F&I's job is to happily engage the salesperson's customer in the service department with F&I products that wed them to the service department, that give them an enhanced experience so they can do what? They can come back and buy another vehicle. We don't train our salespeople like that. So I think it's a training. So the perfect dealership, if it was my store, it would be full transparency on pricing of products, what the products actually do. I would give consumers access to these products before they go into F&I. I'm okay with salespeople saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, you're about to go see Sean Bradley here in a minute. He's been here for 20 years. He's an excellent finance manager, loves people. Here are a few of the products that he's going to offer you, and these are optional products. You can take them if you see value in them. A lot of our customers do, but make sure you listen to Sean. He's very educated on what he does. I would be okay with that. Going back 15 years ago, you can't hit people anymore. 20 years ago, there were fights on the showroom. But you go back 20 years ago, F&I people would lose their mind if a salesperson was talking about F&I products, which I think that's crazy.
I think reselling F&I is going to enhance the F&I's opportunity, but it has to be trained and coordinated. Okay, so next question, and this is important too. Can you do me a favor? Can you define? Okay, so I'm going to ask you a direct question. I want you to answer, right? So I'm a general manager, and I'm going to just say, hey, Adam, I want to bring you in as our F&I consultant and trainer. Couple questions for you. I need to hire an F&I manager, from here. Can you give me a job description for 2026 and beyond? What should an F&I manager's job description be? And that's the first question. Let's start there.
That is actually a great question, Sean. And before I have him answer, our sponsors are asking, they're tapping me on the shoulder like, hey, can we say something? Can we say something real quick? So we're going to have them say something. And Adam, when we come back, if you could answer that question for us, that would be absolutely phenomenal. We're super excited, y'all. This is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
This has been the most in-depth training I've had in my lot of years in the car business.
We went from 60 cars to 156 cars a month in 3 months.
NAMAD, the entire Toyota Chicago region, as well as the top automotive groups like Coons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their team.
There's the most comprehensive training company I've seen, and they by far have the best support system.
Doing 50 cars a month, topped out at 80. I can tell you that the Bradley On Demand training will get you to the next level.
And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. If you're still not enrolled in Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on the best virtual automotive training in the world. Enroll now or contact us for a free test drive of the platform today.
All right, Adam, I can't wait any longer. Tell me, what is the absolute most realistic, authentic job description for an F&I manager going into 2026?
So I think it would say something like, must be a servant leader that loves people, that loves to be a part of something bigger than themselves, that always put the retail customer before themselves. To me, it has to be servant leading. The way of the old F&I is not the way of the new F&I. It's got to be people first. period. So that's what I look, and that's what I look for when I'm hiring F&I people.
Okay, now can you tell me, I understand that's the mindset, that's the like mission, vision, I get it. Now let's go through tactical. Give me like an idea of what an F&I manager's day-to-day responsibilities are and what should they be doing. So
real easy. Help the sales department transact, keep the dealership compliant, maintain profitability, and serve all other departments within the four walls of the dealership.
Okay, so because like you said before, there's F&I managers that don't get out of their ivory towers, ivory offices, so to speak. Obviously, we both agree that that's not conducive to do business. So if you could be specific, explain how can an F&I manager help salespeople, do transactions?
Well, first and foremost, we're not training enough. I think F&I, we have the ability. We should be hosting quick, not long-winded sales meetings. There should be sales meetings every single day. There should also be a minimum of one-on-one with each sales consultant every single week. It's important to get to know what motivates our people, right? Our salespeople. We need to also have a consultation or just a conversation with our desk every single day. The biggest disconnect in F&I, by the way, the reason PVR and F&I goes up immediately when you enhance communication with the desk and F&I. See, desk is the architect, F&I is the finished carpenter. So the communication right there. So that'd be one thing. It would be a mandatory conversation with the desk every single day. And so it's just that constant training on a daily basis, constant communication on a daily basis, and that's how the department elevates.
I mean, if you think about it for a second here, I love the fact on a training side of things, who better than F&I to explain rebates, incentives, dealer cash, customer cash, conquest money, owner loyalty money, lease pull ahead money, any of that type of stuff. In addition to that, if you have a special finance department, who better to explain basic credit, protocol, credit steps and things like that? Who better to assist with rebuttals, objections and rebuttals, expectations for finance or for special finance? The other thing is this, it drives me crazy because I told you I used to be a special finance manager. And, when customers ask about, hey, can I get approved? And F&I doesn't get involved enough to be able to give the word tracks. You know this, across the country, for whatever crazy reason, people down south don't like to lease. I think that's a fundamental problem. The reason why Cody Carter is doing so well, he leases 99% of all of those car sales that he has are new car leases, which is insane. And again, if you don't know how to present a lease, you don't know how to articulate a lease, you don't know how to build value on a lease, then you're leaving a big weapon in your arsenal, like unsheathed. You know what I mean? Like you're leaving it in the scabbard, which is crazy. So I love that. In addition to that, I think that F&I managers should be more involved in, helping the salespeople help them, like you were talking about, give them the details on how to queue them up for, F&I products. I also think that they should be doing more TOs. I think that they're not being leveraged enough for TO capabilities. The NADA says it's really simple. Again, there's a certain closing ratio that you have. But if you TO to somebody in real time instead of waiting for a callback, you're going to have a higher engagement. There's a direct correlation from response time to closing ratio. So this
one
is.
thing I want to add to that, Sean. Let me add. There's one thing, and I'd love to get your opinion on this too. So the question is, why aren't more F&I managers doing the things that we're talking about now? Why are they not taking more TOs? Why are they not getting involved early? Why are they not being more present? Is it maybe some scenarios where they're not empowered?
Right.
Maybe is there scenarios where there's ego involved with sales managers and GMs saying, no, that's not your lane. Stay out of it. Right? Because I think it comes from the top down. If the dealer has everybody together and says sales manager, GSM, GM, finance manager, we're all one. We're just one. We're a team together. We're empowered to help each other at all times. So I come back to this. The question is, in an F&I's perspective, is it lack of empowerment sometimes too that keeps them from getting out of their office? I don't know.
Well, I think that F&I is a very, very, very important, obviously, position for so many different reasons. Profitability to the deal, like you said, compliance, providing actual products and services that help people, tire and wheel, life, gap, all sorts of stuff. And then being able to have that layer. But I don't think that F&I is being leveraged the proper way and maximized throughout the whole front end of the process. So we agree. Okay, now I want to pivot really quick because, as I mentioned, I'm going to leave LA because I have to jump on a flight to a dealer group out in Cincinnati in literally a couple minutes. But we share something very unique. Out of the 6 million jiu-jitsu practitioners around the world, less than 1% ever achieved their black belt. Me, I am at a team balance between 5th and 6th degree Helson, Gracie black belts, Ricardo and Phil Miglaris. I've been training, in jiu-jitsu alone, 21 years, in martial arts over 40, and it's not easy. So first of all, I want to just say, to you, congratulations, because it says a lot about you that you achieved your black belt and you've had your black belt and you've been doing it. How has being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt affected your business strategy, or you as a business professional, or you as a trainer, you as a coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that I've always kind of struggled with in my life is feeling accomplished. So like if I get an award or I win something or something cool happens, like I don't feel anything. Like I just have it's a weird thing. It's a problem I have. I have zero sense of accomplishment. That's why I just keep going. The black belt was one of the few things outside of my daughters being born that did give me a sense of accomplishment, because I know what it's like. Like it was hard. I mean, it took me 11 years to get my black belt. I was on the competition circuit for a very, very, very long time. I got beat to the ground for years. Like it just took so many injuries and years to get this black belt. Yes, it felt, there was a sense of accomplishment. I felt great about it. Hell, I think I wore my black belt around my house for a week straight. Very few can understand where I'm going with that, right? It was a great feeling. But it added something. It's like, because most people won't ever get that statistic that you just shared. That's fascinating alone. So it's helped my business grow. I'll tell you right now, when I'm talking to dealers, Sean, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when I talk to a new potential client, dealer finds out, oh, you're a jiu-jitsu black belt. The posture changes. The energy changes. The conversation changes. People take me a little bit more serious, not because they think I'm going to lapel choke them, but they're like, wait a minute, this guy's put in that time.
You sure that's not the reason?
It's a lot of dedication. So it has given me a little bit more confidence, Sean, if anything. My world hasn't changed overnight, but there's a sense of accomplishment that I don't typically feel in life, and there's a little bit more confidence that comes with saying, yeah, I am a jiu-jitsu black belt. It means something. It's a very special award. It's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me in my life.
No, I would agree. I mean, I'm the star of a Vice TV show that aired in front of like 8.5 million households. I'm an international best-selling author. I had a national radio show. I married a pop star and all this other stuff. Now, if you take family, like wife and kids and that out of the picture, as far as professional, even my CSP, I'm in the $1 Million Speakers Group in the National Speakers Association, and I have a CSP in the National Speakers Association. None of that to me even comes close, because I've had a heart aneurysm. I have heart surgery. I've had back surgeries. I had a near fatal jet ski accident. It took me a lot longer than 11 years to get my black belt. You know what I mean? Because I've been doing 50 million things, owning 11 companies, yada, yada, yada. So for me to finally get my jiu-jitsu black belt at 49 years old, it means the world to me. You know what I mean? Because of what it took for me to actually do it. And what I got out of it is I didn't give up. There's so many people along the way that justifiably you're like, yeah, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to my body? Why am I taking all the time that I'm doing that I could be doing other things? And to me, it just represents life, brother, because in so many things, all us humans are like this close to breakthrough, but most people give up before they get to that next side. I always say to LA, you know where you get the best ideas are in the graveyard. The absolute best inventions, the best ideas, the best music, the best plays, the best screen plots or whatever that have never been put together in the graveyard because people have never ever got to execute it. So for us, I think it's a constant reminder of what's possible if you work your ass off in spite of pain or disappointment or loss, which is life. I mean, life is beautiful, but it could be painful. Life could be, difficult. So if you're not conditioned, if you don't have the proper mental fortitude, and we talk about sales it takes from you. I mean, like my daughter, when she was driving an hour from Reading, Pennsylvania to Patriot Buick GMC, working a 12-hour day and driving an hour home, 14-hour days, and sometimes not sell a car, your why has to be so strong that what you have to do doesn't make, as much sense. And I think that, jujitsu helps me with that. To me, jujitsu is just it personifies chess. It's mental chess. I mean, you have to play chess strategically, and everything that we do, projections, forecasting, sales, whether it's in the box or it's service or whatever, all of it is relative. And then the therapeutic aspect of it, I joke around and say there's not many things that you could choke the shit out of somebody without catching a case. I'm telling you, you're stressed out. Okay. You could go throw your yo-yo, or you could turn around and go, watch butterflies, or you put a clock choke on somebody and you feel a lot better in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like, and I'm always selling jujitsu, like even to the people on my teams and my companies, and they're like, you're always trying to get us to do jujitsu. It's like, well, first of all, it helps you with every aspect of your life, physical, mentally, spiritually, all these things jujitsu fixes. I mean, because you said it's chess. It's human chess. You got a human that wants to make you quit. You got X amount of time to prevent it or be the one that makes them quit. It's just so darn therapeutic. I challenge everybody to check jujitsu out. It's, I say it's life-changing, but it's really life-saving.
And Adam, before I head out, and I'm going to turn this over to my co-host here to really dive in for F&I questions and things like that. For me, I don't know if you know, but I actually own a company with Daniel Gracie. So I own Gracie On Demand. So I have a video on demand training, tracking, testing, certification program called Gracie On Demand, where we have the entire curriculum for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with me and Daniel Gracie. And then I flew around the world with a ton of UFC fighters and champions, from Renzo Gracie to Kayla Harrison to Frankie Edgar to Pat Miletich to, Jens Pulver to Tim Sylvia. They're all on the platform, and I'm very close with these guys, so I get to train with them with my kids all the time. So I'm going to give you a free login and password.
Love it.
So you could turn on in and take a look at Gracie On Demand. And again, with your training background, I would love to pick your brain on it, because right now it's kind of just on the shelf because I'm busy doing all my Sean Bradley stuff in automotive. But I got to send you the Gracie On Demand stuff. But listen, it was an honor having you here on the show. LA is a beast. LA, please get all the meat off the bone. Adam is brilliant. He's got a lot of information. And we definitely want to follow up Adam and continue the relationship and see how we can support you, okay?
All right. Safe travels, Sean. Nice chatting with you, brother. Congrats to you again.
Thank you very much. And hey, listen, maybe one day we have a chance to roll.
We're going to. We will. We'll make
absolutely. It Heck yeah. Take care.
All right, man. Yeah, so that was phenomenal conversation talking about, the jiu-jitsu stuff. And Adam, listen, I'm telling you, I got to get my act back together because, again, I do have 50 million things on my plate, right? But you know what? I feel like I got a black belt in living life without sight, right? Like that's what I specialize in. You know what I'm saying? Give me 4 senses out of 5 and I could do some doggone stuff, right? But I definitely got to get back on the mat. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have some fun with that. But I heard you when we came back from break initially, Adam, you mentioned that inside of a job description, they have to be a servant leader. I heard you correctly when you said that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what does that actually mean outside of, because everybody says, oh, servant leader, the buzzword, right? What does that actually mean? Can you put some jiu-jitsu black belt on it for me?
I would love to do that, because servant leadership, it is kind of like everybody talks about it. Okay. It's action. It's not words. Okay. There's a book too that I'll reference, Unreasonable Hospitality, with Will Guidara. And he talks about, service is the thing that we do, while hospitality is how we make people feel while we're doing the thing that we do. So to me, it's how do we make people feel? Not just let's put our guest experience to the side for a minute. Because when Will went into 11 Madison Park, he started from the inside out. He fixed the inside so it looked beautiful on the outside to the customers, right? So how do we fix the inside first with servant leadership? It's by taking action. It's not giving a sales meeting for 15 minutes about servant leadership and then going back and, your standard status quo of a day. It's about truly connecting with people on a daily basis with one common goal: to make them feel special, to make them feel heard, to make them feel valued, to make them feel safe. Our employees, believe it or not, and I don't use the E word. Out of all my companies, I have teammates. I don't have employees, but I'm using the word employee so for a reference here, right? Our employees, our people that work with us, not for us, need to feel safe. It's the most important thing. They need to feel that they can come to you and it's a safe space for conversation. On top of that, they need to also know that you have their best interest at heart at all times. So how do you do that? You just can't say those things in a sales meeting. It takes action. It's daily sitting down one-on-one. LA, hey, listen, I've been following you this week. You seem a little off. What's going on? I mean, here, if you don't feel about talking about some personal stuff with me, please, you don't have to, but I want you to know that I'm a sounding board for you. And I just notice you just seem a little off. And I want to connect with you and see if there's anything I can do to get you back on track. It's having intimate conversations with people, letting them know that you care, they're heard, they have a voice, and they're safe. So servant leadership to me is the most important thing. That's about action. It's about taking action. It's about complimenting people on how they're dressed. It's about opening doors for people. It's about going out of your way at all times for people within the four walls of the dealership. I talk about it in F&I a lot. Well, as an F&I manager, I didn't talk about servant leadership. I was servant leadership. Every single morning before the day started, my sales manager, best desk guy in the world, was not a great sales manager. He didn't he didn't want to do TOs. He didn't like talking to customers. So I knew that. I'd sit every day with Pete. I'd be like, hey, Pete, what do you got today? Do you have any manager follow-ups that I can do for you? Anybody that I can call that didn't buy this week? You need to leave at any point today. Do you got to run to the bank? You need to run to lunch. I'll sit your seat for you. I'll desk while you need to go. Is there anything I can do for you? Oh, by the way, Pete, if there's a situation you need a TO, a flying TO, a quick TO, text me, call me. I'm here for you, brother. Same thing with salespeople, pulling salespeople in, not just asking them questions about work. Hey, what motivates you, Tom? Hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You've been here for a couple of years. You're doing a great job. I love working with you, but what's the big picture for you? Where are you headed? Right? Asking questions that these people aren't used to being asked. It's going back into the back office. Ladies, how are we doing? How's our paperwork coming back? Is there anything that we can do that we can improve upon? Is there anything we can do to make your job better and easier? Anything I can do for you? Going back into the service department, just having small talk with service advisors, technicians. How many F&I people in the country you think go talk to techs? Zero, by the way.
Right.
I train our people to get to know their techs for a couple of reasons. There's one selfish reason. So this doesn't go with servant leadership. There's one selfish reason that makes profit for the dealership. If I can talk to techs on a weekly basis to have an understanding on what are you working on? No kidding. How long is that going to take? Really? What's that going to cost? And then you get the repair order afterwards. You find out if it was a customer pay RO, a warranty, or a service contract. Right? It's good to get that information. As an F&I person, we have a different vernacular of what's breaking, the frequency of the repair, what does it cost? Now, there's a little selfishness side to that, to the dealership profitability, but still, just getting back in service, talking to folks, letting them know you're here. Talk to your service manager. What can we do in F&I to enhance things back here? Are we explaining coverages well enough? How are our cancellations? Do the customers truly understand the product offerings that they purchase when they come back here? It's those little things that most of us aren't doing that build this incredible bond within the four walls of the dealership. And I could talk about this for hours, so I'll pause. I literally wrote an entire book, The Servant Leadership. I wrote an entire book on it, so I could talk about servant leadership forever. But It's action and it's not words. So for
Gotcha.
sales managers out there and GMs out there, or even other finance managers or internet BDC directors out there, understand that servant leadership sounds great, but the actions behind it are everything.
Yeah. And I love everything that you're saying, man. So tell us, because as a fellow author, right, I always appreciate books and things like that. What's the name of your book?
The previous one was The Servant Leading F&I Manager.
Okay. And where can folks find that?
You could find it on Amazon.
Amazon. All right, cool. Adam Marburger. Yeah, I'm telling y'all. All right, so here's what people are thinking as you're saying all of that stuff, right? Maybe outside of the last thing, because the last thing could be, a part of something the general manager is telling us to do, something we need to do, maybe on a weekly, monthly basis, whatever it is going to be, right? But you're talking about, I got to have all these conversations, I got to do this and I got to do that, right? And Nick Sirianni talks about doing that. How in the world am I supposed to do all of that and have time to do my job? You tell me that, Adam. That's what they think, Adam. So you might as well just tell them.
There's a huge difference between busy and productive.
Woo!
You have a dialed in routine and you have non-negotiables in that routine and you're organized and you're structured. You've got more than enough time to get these things done. And a lot of these conversations are flying conversations where you might be walking back to the conference room together. Or a salesperson may pops into your office, hey, Adam, here's an updated driver's license for Mrs. Smith last night.
Yeah, man, that's so good.
Have a conversation with somebody. So how do we have all the time for all these one-on-ones? You make the time. There's a big difference between productivity and being busy. And I'm going to tell you, most of us are busy and not productive.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just had that conversation with a dealer we were talking. We said it's a difference between being busy and effective. So, but your point, it all remains the same, right? I love this stuff. So here's the thing, because we hear that stuff all the time. Oh, managers got to lead from the front, right? But what is it that most managers get wrong about leading from the front? Because some people think it means doing everything for the person, right? And they're like, well, what the hell? I'm supposed to be the manager, right? I'm doing everything for you. You're never learning. So what is it that managers get wrong or incorrect, I'll say, because emotional intelligence, right? About leading from the front. What would you say?
I would say most managers fail with lack of empowerment. And delegation. And I'll give you an example. I own Ascent Dealer Services, pretty big insurance brokerage firm. And for years, we were doing very well. But I wanted to be in control of everything. I wanted to be in every meeting. I wanted to run every single department. I wanted ego and control involved. Until I agreed to sell a small percentage of my company and bring in somebody that was better than me at certain things. So then I could start delegating and then holding those folks accountable. I learned a valuable lesson a couple of years ago because we scaled to the next level by delegation. So where leaders fail the most is allowing people to do what they do, giving them autonomy, and allowing them to make mistakes. Because if there's no mistake, there's no lessons that come. So we have to, as managers, expect setbacks and embrace these setbacks for opportunities to grow that individual to that next level. So I'll kind of land the plane on this. We screw up because we're too much in control. Our ego gets in the way, and we don't allow our people to mess up. And we need to allow our people to mess up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you talk about people messing up, right? One of the things that I teach during my trainings, right? I say, come on, y'all, this is the mess up room, right? This is where you mess it all up, right? So I can coach you and show you how, we want it done, right? So that way, the first time you do it is not in front of the customer. You've done it a couple of times with me first, right? So I'm sure this whole thing that you're talking about as far as, letting people mess up, of course, there are going to be mistakes that happen live, right? But can some of them happen through training? Like, could you talk about the difference between training? Because to me, it's just like teaching just kind of like break that all down for us so that we can understand the difference between doing it for people, teaching people to do it, empowering, like all of that stuff. Can you break all that down for us?
Yeah, and I'll just use an F&I scenario on this one here. You know, the game day starts, the show starts when you're with a live customer. And I'm not against role playing. I think role playing's fine and dandy. I'm not a big word track guy. We're more into thought tracks and organic conversation. However, in F&I, there are certain things that you should know. There's certain blocking and tackling. And those things can be trained and drilled and rehearsed ad nauseum. So it's important for us as leaders and managers to fully equip our people on the onboarding process. As we onboard somebody, we have to be so dialed into our training and our support. And by that, there will be minimized mistakes out on the battlefield, right? If they're trained appropriately up front, the mistakes will be minimalized. If we don't onboard properly, we're not training, we're not invested, and we're half-assing everything, we're going to see more mistakes. And then we're going to see people that you could just see that they don't have that confidence if they had the right training and onboarding up front. So it's critical that we're investing in the onboarding process and the training before we're actually in front of live customers.
Yeah, I think that's super duper important too. And you know, it's I guess it's slightly different for me because I'm the phone trainer, right? So if I can give you some thought tracks and all that stuff, but if you messing up how to say it, like I'll give you an example. How you said there was a particular word track that you said when you said our customers actually enjoy buying. Remember you meant like those are words, right? That if someone doesn't say that, right, they're going to say it in a different way that's not going to resonate, right? But I love that you said that. And so for me as a phone person and as a wordsmith and a person that says, hey, you know what? Words matter. Stop saying interested and stop saying follow up and stop saying, right? I got to give folks a word track. So I totally respect where you're coming from because I think obviously in an F&I, you are supposed to be a higher level, you know, manager, thinker, doer, all of that kind of stuff than maybe the folks that I'm talking to as internet coordinators or even salespeople, right? So
yeah,
phenomenal
here's
stuff.
The thing too. I think we're all equal. I mean, there's no job more important than the other. It's just a different vernacular because in F&I, you're selling a non-tangible product and people make decisions based on their past and previous experiences. And in the past, the F&I department hasn't had the best name. We're kind of known as that center where, oh my gosh, these guys are going to try to sell you a bunch of stuff. In reality, and data shows, consumers want to purchase. They want to protect it. They just don't want to be sold. And so we got to use different technologies. Yeah.
Gotcha, man. All right. So here's what I want to kind of know, just kind of closing things out, because I know you mentioned, you know, working in the late 90s, early 2000s. Sean did that, right? I didn't show up until around 2009, right? So, but where do you see the future of leadership in automotive, like just appearing? Because if you think about it, we already mentioned that the old school way is dying/dead, right? So it makes me think about hip hop is dead. We got this whole thing going on, right? But talk about where do you think leadership in automotive is headed, so that we can be prepared going into 2026.
That's a great question. I wish I had a crystal ball, but the one thing that I do know is we are headed in the right direction. The days, and let me just talk F&I for just 1 minute. The days of the prima donnas and the days where the F&I department is kind of on their own island doing their own thing, those are slowly fading. You're seeing F&I departments transform now into more of a community center wanting to help each department. So we're seeing that. The old school car dogs of the 70s and 80s and 90s, they're retiring. I mean, so it's a newer generation of folks that truly want to help people. So I think a lot of that massive ego is kind of slowly fading out. And I want to use that term, servant leaders. There's more of a servant leadership culture. It's been sprayed all over automotive for the last decade or so, but it's now starting to actually come through. We're seeing dealers that are starting, not that they were doing the wrong things, but you're seeing more dealers more involved in community and family. And it's about the experience of the guest, not necessarily the gross in the deal, right? Gross is important. About the guest experience. It's about It's about the unity amongst the teams in the store. It's about the health of the culture. So you're seeing those things shift in the right direction. I wish I had a crystal ball and I could see 20 years into the future. AI has some things we're playing. AI is kind of a hot topic right now. I don't know. I hope the F&I department's not eliminated in the future. I don't think it will be.
I don't either.
Sales people are not eliminated in the future. I don't think they will be. But I do know that the egos are we're deflating egos and we're kind of heading into the right direction.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that because, I mean, look, that's a big part of what I'm going to talk about at NADA this upcoming year is emotional intelligence and really reintroducing that or kind of just reinserting that into our leadership and how it is that we operate through stores and culture and all of that good stuff. So, man, huge stuff, man. You're absolutely dropping gems. Now, I heard you mention, you said the first one, meaning like you probably wrote multiple books. Can you talk about the second one? Can you talk about how people can just be in contact with you overall? Because that's something we need to know.
I'll shameless plug. Well, here, I wrote a few books, but this was my first book I wrote. It's about myself. It's titled "You're the Effing Problem." Full disclosure, I'm a Christian man. I love Jesus. I had a lot of people in the community say, "Why'd you use the F word in your title?" Well, I used the F word in my title is because it was a conversation I had with myself in the mirror. You'll see in the picture here, you got a pawn talking to a king. So I went through a whole lot in my personal life in 2019, and I had a conversation in the mirror one morning in August of 2019, and I looked in the mirror and said, Adam, you're the effing problem. And I wrote a book on my life, my automotive, everything that kind of got me here. And I just wanted to share that to help others that were struggling, those that were stuck in the past to get past that stuff, right? So that's what I decided to do. I love to write. I love to speak. I'm constantly doing things, journaling and writing, and I've got a few more projects in the works right now as well. So.
Cool, man. Well, I'm gonna be excited, man. I need to have you slide over to the Vision Banquet. You know, what I do outside of here is I run a business coaching, and it's called the Vision Banquet, where we just have conversations like we're over the dinner table or over a meal or something, and just talk about what it takes to grow and win in life and business and all of that good stuff. So we got to make sure that we have some conversation about that because it's so funny you're talking about seeing the king, the pawn talk to the king. Obviously, he's not talking to me and the listeners. He's unless you're watching it, the video version of the podcast, you won't necessarily know. And the cool thing about with me, I always love having guests because they have to explain things a little bit differently because I'm totally blind, right? So they gotta talk to the listeners who are just audible listeners, man. So it was definitely a pleasure having you on here. I always say that you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, and you've just been spending time with L.A. Williams, the blind master, with Mr. Adam Marburger and Mr. Sean V. Bradley, even though he had to dip out of here so we got hop on a plane. Y'all, listen, I always say, go out here and be a millionaire car salesman. You have a responsibility to do it. I'll talk to y'all on the next time. Peace.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you liked it, you're going to love Bradley On Demand. Bradley On Demand is the most advanced virtual training, tracking, testing, and certification platform. What does that mean? It's an online university. And if you like this information here, we have hundreds and hundreds of advanced videos, step by step, on how to help you sell more cars more often and more profitably. So sign up now.